Tell me if this is a familiar problem. You sit down at your desk or in your room and you study English and you remember everything that you study. You feel like you really got it. Then as soon as you leave the room and you go out and have a conversation with another person, all the vocabulary goes away. There's a very specific reason for this. It's called context-specific memories, which means that when you're sitting at your desk in your room, your brain builds an association between the vocabulary you studied and the room that you're in. When you leave the room, your brain thinks, okay, they won't need this information. They're not in that space, so we can forget about it. This is a very common problem. Fortunately, it's very easy to fix. First, study in lots of different environments. If you study a list of 10 words in your room, then the next day you go study those 10 words in a cafe, then the day after that you go study the words at your school, you are more likely to remember that vocabulary because you studied them in lots of contexts. The second is when you're studying a word, take it out of the context that you studied it in. For example, let's imagine you study a list of 10 barn animals and you learn the word cow. Your brain will be dependent on seeing that list again to pull the word cow out. However, if you take that word and put it in a new context, your brain is more likely to remember it. This is super easy to do. Let's say you've studied 10 words for farm animals and 10 colors. All you need to do is combine this list together randomly and try and study all of the words. Now you've removed the context and your brain has to learn these words in a new pattern. Another technique you can use is thinking about the words in multiple contexts. For example, the word cow. Instead of just thinking cows live on farms, think of other circumstances where you could use the word cow. For example, I had a teacher in school who looked like a cow. Beef is cow meat. Instead of being dependent on one context to remember a word, you can create lots of contexts, meaning you're much more likely to remember the word in many different situations.